Hello, this is RICKY, the YouTube Tech Guy. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Mobile Weekly / Mobile Q&A. We go over all latest news that happened during the week of mobile and tech and answer your questions live. If you have a question you want to ask, just ask it in the comment section down below and I will answer it before the end of the show. Alright guys, some really big news just landed right before I was setting up. So let's go ahead and check it out. And the big news is we have confirmation of the Pixel 6 and Pixel 6 Pro pricing. And let me know in the comments section right away, does this make you interested in buying the Pixel 6 or Pixel 6 Pro? The Pixel 6, which will arguably have the best camera of the year, is going to start at $599. That is insane for it to start that low of a price. With the 128 gig of storage built into, that is so competitive. And it's very competitive against, they're purposely undercutting iPhones and Samsungs to really hit this home as that this is the phone that you should be thinking about instead of those two. With that price point, with the camera quality, I think it arguably has a great chance of being better. But the big one for me is the one that I am waiting for. I know Google is sending me a device this week. I have no idea which one it is. It is always up to their discretion. I'm hoping it's a Pixel 6 Pro, but the Pixel 6 Pro is going to be $899. That is an amazing price to beat out both the iPhone Pro that is at $999, and definitely better than Samsung, which starts at it starts at $799, but their mid-range, the S22 Plus, or sorry, S21 Plus, is at $999. Whereas the Ultra, you definitely have to go more. So it's undercutting Samsung and it's undercutting Apple. For $900, I think this is a great price point overall with this. It is just very interesting. Let me know what you guys think, but for me, this kind of cinches it that these are going to be two of the best phones of the year. I've been saying it for a while now. Everyone's heard me weeks on and weeks on end that these are the phones that could replace the Notes as the best phones of the year, since we didn't have a Note this year, and since the Fold 3 is definitely not going to be a best phone of the year, this is really looking like it might be wrapping it up. And what I mean by that is, look, the Fold 3 is great for innovation in terms of productivity, a lot of things, but the biggest thing that the Fold 3 loses is easily the battery life is, quite frankly, against the top flagships out there, horrible. It's about 3 hours of screen on time less compared to top end flagships like the S21 Ultra and like the iPhone Pro Max, or even Pro, to be honest. So definitely a lot different when it comes down to it in terms of it. And sorry, hold on one second. And then we also have, sorry about that, had some noise going on in the background, the S21 FE. So the S21 FE we've heard a lot about overall, but when it comes right down to it, we didn't think we were going to get it. We thought it was canceled. It looks like this Wednesday it will be announced, and in many different colors, but the problem with that is that it still doesn't look like it'll actually launch till January, apparently. I don't know if this is true. It would be kind of weird. Samsung and Apple have done this in the past where they announce something, it comes out months later, but it's very rare. So we'll see if this truly does happen. Again, I feel like this was before that we were getting the Unpacked Part 2, which is happening on Wednesday. So we'll have to wait and see. Plus, John Processor really doesn't have the best reputation when it comes to Samsung, and it's been iffy this year, especially when it comes to Apple. But overall, I will say that definitely it looks like the S21 FE is going to have a hard time being made overall. If it's been delayed till January, I don't believe it, quite frankly. I do think it's going to be in the upcoming ones, possibly something like December maybe, but I still think we're going to have at least a small launch before January overall to get that holiday season buzz, but we'll have to wait and see. Okay, and then we have Apple's new MacBook also being announced tomorrow. So tomorrow's Apple's announcement, and it will be very interesting to see what they have in store. Obviously, both Apple and Samsung really kind of picked this week specifically to go against Google, because Google had landed this spot for a while then, and then it just kind of changed everything overall. But I will say that it looks like the M1 Pro and the M1 Max are the names we're thinking we're going to get, and it will be, you know, a MacBook Pro and a MacBook Max overall in terms of specs with this. I'm very curious to see how this deals with the higher end stuff that we've been waiting to see in terms of graphics processing and everything else that the M1 did very well, but just couldn't handle certain tasks, and everything obviously wasn't optimized for it. So it's going to be very interesting to see how that will go moving forward. Then the other part of the announcement set, and that is going to be back to Samsung. Now there are rumors that the Tab S8 will be announced on Wednesday as well, but be in very short supply. Now, I have heard from lots of sources that it was going to be launched along with the S22. I don't know why, unless Samsung just wants to gain notoriety right now and wants their name to be more out there, why they would do this, per se. But could it be interesting to have a tablet like this come out during a time when normally we don't get new products till CES at this point. Like, we get a few announcements here and there for mid-range products, but this would be the highest end tablet they would carry. Basically, what sources are saying here is that it will launch this year, but it will be very scarce. Basically, if you don't get it at launch, you're not going to get it. So we'll have to wait and see. I, for one, would totally get this tablet. My love for the Samsung tablets grew exponentially between the Tab S6 and the Tab S7 Plus because of that bigger display and that keyboard. It's so perfect for me. So getting a giant, I will say that, giant 14.6 display might sound ridiculous, might sound just astronomically big, but if it's as good as what I have now, but with a bigger display, and this having the AMD processor, graphics card built inside of it, for me, this looks like I would definitely pre-order it day one, trade in my Tab S7 Plus, call it a day, and I would think I would be very happy with this. But let me know what you guys think on that front. All right, and then we have Microsoft apparently working on its own chip as well. So right now, Microsoft, is of course relying on Intel and AMD. It tried to do something with Qualcomm last year. It didn't really work out that well. So as of right now, it's really looking like, okay, will Microsoft really kind of go all out and make their own processor for their Surface products maybe next year? I think it's really beneficial for them to do so if they can. But, I mean, with the rumored processors from both Intel and AMD coming up, is it necessary? That's really the question. And I think the question would only be yes, they should, if, and this is a big if they can bring ARM processing the right way to Windows, because that's Apple's whole advantage. Apple's whole advantage on making the processor was it being ARM based. Microsoft is not going to do a x86 processor better than Intel or AMD. They're just not. But could they make an ARM processor better than Qualcomm for Windows? Yeah, I honestly think they have a chance. Qualcomm has not done a very good job at being able to adapt to bigger platforms, whether that be Chromebooks or whether that be Windows. They have not done a good job. The one I was really disappointed with this year was the Qualcomm 7C processor, which we thought would be much better than the Pentium and Celeron processors that we had in previous Chromebooks, and they weren't much better. In fact, they were worse in a lot of areas, and there was no benefit of it being Qualcomm for Android applications. So Qualcomm has a lot of work to do, in my opinion, when it comes to full-fledged operating systems rather than just Android. So I think they still need some work. We'll have to wait and see. But I think if Microsoft does do this, they should definitely do it in that sense. Again, we'll have to wait and see how that goes. All right. Now, an interesting tidbit on the S22s coming out next year, and that is they will be a slightly wider phone. And that goes basically back to a little bit older design, right? So in this case, the older phones on the S21 and S21 Plus that came out this year are a 20:9 aspect ratio. These will go back to being a 19.5:9 aspect ratio. So basically a little bit shorter and a little bit wider. I'm personally fine with this. I've never been the biggest fan of too, narrow, tall phones. Like, I didn't like the Sony design, for instance, in terms of that. So I don't mind this at all, but let me know what you guys think. I find the iPhone to be kind of really wide when it comes to a phone. Like, stretching all the way out, it feels more wider than a lot of phones it's similar size. Say like the Pixel right here. The Pixel 5 is definitely narrower compared to the iPhone. So that's just one thing I will say, that I don't want it too wide, but a little bit less narrow. Like, I still don't like, I know some people do, like the front screen of the Fold. I felt it should have been shorter and wider, and that would have been a better overall display that I think a lot of people would have appreciated a lot more. All right. And then we have a bit of sales news. So year over year, the top dominating market in terms of Q3 was still going to be Samsung, with a 23% market share, basically have not dropped year over year for Q3. In terms of sales overall, that did have a 6% decline year over year comparing last year to this year. And I do feel that that's just a difference of people not necessarily wanting to upgrade or not needing to upgrade when everything else has been going on. Xiaomi has actually kept 14%. Vivo actually did go up slightly, and so did Oppo. So I think what you're really seeing here is these slight differences in percentages, 3, 1, and 1, so 5%, I feel honestly is the one that is now missing from here, and that is, of course, LG. So I guarantee you at least part of that 5% that is now gone to Apple, Vivo, and Oppo is most likely LG overall. Now, it's a difference in story when we talk about profit. Now, profit is very important because revenue is different from profit. And while Samsung does do very well with revenue, they really don't do as much in profit because they always, put the money back into their subsidiaries in order to do more research and development. So when it comes to profit, Apple still gains the most profit by far. They basically shot up a year or so ago when they started doing, lower quality parts, but still basically having phones that are selling for 400 and up. And I say 400 and up because a lot of people do forget that, you know, their iPhones start at around a $400, $500 price point now if you go to their website. And the reason why that's so important is because those parts are now so cheap for them to make that they have a huge profit margin when it comes to that. Whereas again, other manufacturers are cutting profit layers so thin, you know, when a company like OnePlus, when Oppo, when Xiaomi, the reason they can offer those phones so much cheaper is because of the fact that they are getting a much lower profit margin. Companies like Samsung even that do better, but nowhere near Apple, again, don't have the kind of clout. You know, when Apple drops a new phone, there are going to be 10 to 20 million sold. When Samsung sells a new phone, if it's an S series, you're still going to get about 10 million. But if a Note or a Foldable comes out, you're more likely getting about 5 million. So those are going to be the differences overall when it comes to sales. And then, of course, profit margins. Plus, you have to take into account sales and everything else that happens. So all of these are going to lead to Apple having the highest profit margin and Samsung having the highest market share overall. So yeah, just a little bit of behind the scenes stuff in terms of what they're selling. All right, guys, that was the news for today. Now, if you have any questions you want to ask, start asking them in the comment section down below, and I will answer them before the end of the show. My Instagram says can't refresh, reinstalled and rebooted. Do you have any app that controls Instagram in terms of controlling the aspect ratio or anything like that? Like for the Fold 3, the aspect ratio not doing it right might be an issue. But I haven't seen, couldn't refresh unless like my internet was bad or anything like that, or signal wasn't going through. I've been interested in the P6 Pro since the first leaks, LOL. So have I. I've the idea of, again, Google really coming to the forefront with their camera has been so interesting to me, and I really can't wait for it. Considering the unfortunate circumstances what happened to this Honor 6X, I guess I'm now interested. Oh, did it break, man? I'm sorry. Cracked the screen a little bit, a lot bummed about it. So sorry to hear about that, Quiet Storm. I really am sorry to hear that, man. Let's see, what's next? Is there a way to delete notification on the watch for it to delete on the phone at the same time, i.e. email? It depends on what device you have. Typically, not all third parties can. So like, I'm not sure if OnePlus does that, and I'm not sure if, like I know, Samsung, if you clear the notification, it'll clear on your watch. You actually can disable that if you want to, but that has been a thing. And then Google, I'm pretty sure does the same thing, because I know when I clear my notifications here, I don't see them anymore on there. Let me double check that right now. So I'm clearing my notifications, and yeah, they're immediately gone on my phone. So yeah, you should be able to do that overall for it, as long as they're connected. If they're not connected, then no, I wouldn't do that. Do not like my S21. It's terrible. What is terrible about it? Let me know. They should cancel the S21 FE and do the F22 FE. I would say that's an interesting proposition, but the whole idea behind an FE series is to lift up sales when the regular model has started to dwindle. Since the S21 isn't selling that many right now, launching an S21 FE for maybe $100 to $200 less would spike up sales, and that's what they really want to do with it. Why will they still call it F21 FE when it comes out in 22? Bad timing. I completely agree with the timing part of it. They're not necessarily supposed to mean the year. It's just kind of what they started doing with the S10, and then they went to S20. So it's not necessarily meant to be the year, although they do correlate to the year. But yeah, that's why they wouldn't do it. Do you still have the iPhone 13? Yes, I still have the iPhone 13 Pro. I decided to keep it in order to test out the camera against the S21 Ultra, and in order to test it against the, what do you call it? The S21 Ultra, and in comparing it to the Pixel 6 Pro, so we can really test out all the best of the best cameras for the year. Hey Ricky, how are you? Is there any way to get a gaming PC for less than $600? Thanks. No, not right now. It is easier to build a computer or to get a used gaming PC with an old graphics card. Right now, basically, yeah, that's it. And I'm assuming you mean a gaming desktop. A gaming laptop, you might be able to actually get a used one or an old one, but not a new one, no. Even a newer one with a decent graphics card, you're probably at least going to go to about 900 or 800 maybe. But basically with a desktop, not a chance right now. Graphics cards are too short in supply and too high in demand for it to be anywhere near that price. So yeah, no, you are definitely not gonna get a gaming desktop anywhere near that price. You can probably get a gaming laptop, again, an older one most likely, or used one for around $800 or $900. I do see that being a possibility, but definitely not a desktop. Will they pre-order the 8 Ultra after Wednesday? I see, that's again why I don't know if the 8 Ultra is true in terms of rumors, because of the fact that although some people are saying that it is now going to be announced, we don't have any pre-order thing. Let me go chat and check Samsung.com right now, just to make sure. And let me check. I'm signing up to get reminded about it, which it'll be at 10 a.m. But nothing I see about the actual event. So they are giving no information on the actual event and what is going on. So yeah, as of right now, we don't know anything in terms of it. It'll be at 10 a.m. Eastern time, so it'll be 7 a.m. My time. I have to wait and see. I will not be able to do a live show that day, but we will have to wait and see what kind of happens there. Let's see. Hey, YouTube Tech Guy. Hey, Michael. I definitely like a wider phone, but not too wide. I agree with you on that sentiment. Not too wide, definitely there. Is your portable monitor still working with no issues whatsoever? Does it have a built-in battery and a touchscreen? None of the portable monitors I have used have a built-in battery or touchscreen, no. I do have a 15.6 and a 17.3, although I think I gave my 15.6 away, if I'm not mistaken. But I definitely have a 17.3. It's literally in that black cabinet you see behind me. I just never really rarely use it. My Samsung tablet can now work as a second display, so ever since that kind of happened, I have stopped taking around a portable display with me. What's your daily driver right now? My current daily driving setup are these two devices, which is the Fold 3 and the Pixel 5a, which the 5a will be replaced, of course, this upcoming week with the 6 or 6 Pro, whatever I end up getting. So those are my current daily drivers right now. Can you suggest a laptop that has an OLED screen with a 15.6 inch screen? Kind of hard to find one on the spot. me see. Okay, so I'm gonna check two websites. Gonna check Newegg, and I'm gonna check Amazon. So let me find your screen size that you want and apply that. Were you asking for a specific price? I guess my question right away would be, what do you need it for? Because like that definitely depends. You know, if you need 11th gen, if you need a 10th gen processor, what kind of graphics card do you need? All that makes a difference. And yeah, prices obviously have a huge range between them. But as you can see, you're kind of starting off at about the mid thousands for a 15 inch. There were other ones that were lower prices for a 13 inch, but for a 15 inch, that was going to be a little bit more. Let's go ahead and set it to 15. And yeah, again, it's what kind of price point, because they shoot up definitely in terms of it. And unfortunately, Amazon's not filtering it correctly, because I see not a lot of non-OLED displays here. It's one thing I don't like about Amazon. I hate Amazon search when it comes to I hate Amazon search when it comes to laptops, because they just do such a poor job of trying to find it. Like, they think I mean old laptop when I'm searching for an OLED laptop. Here we go. Let's try that. No, I didn't mean old. Now I'm gonna be prices. Yeah, so Amazon's a little bit of a mess, unfortunately, to try to find one, but you see they're kind of like in the $2,000 price point. The cheapest one I see on Newegg is this one, which would be good if you're not really trying to do heavy video editing, but more like maybe photo editing. That might be something for it. But yeah, hopefully this one helps. Let me just give the link. And hopefully that helps for you overall. Okay, hey Luca, thank you so much for the super chat donation, $10, and the maracas going. If you have any questions, man, let me know. Thank you though so much for the super chat donation. Yeah, the Gigabyte Aero OLED is really good, but I'm pretty sure that's like 1,500. So again, it's just, it all depends on what you're trying to spend, basically. This was the cheapest OLED I saw on Newegg, and Amazon looked to be around the 2000s, but they should have ones cheaper. Again, it's just how they're doing it. All right. Which smartwatch are you using? I'm using the Galaxy Watch 4. Have not cared for the battery life as much, but definitely like the overall usability for it. Do you think Samsung should make their smartphones cheaper in order to compete with Xiaomi? I feel Xiaomi is a better value. Their strategy is similar to Amazon, which is less profit but growth. Well, you can kind of see the difference there, right? So Xiaomi, on that chart we saw earlier for Q3, didn't grow actually. They remained at 14%, which isn't bad, of course. They're 14% of the smartphone market share for Q3, but Samsung is at 23%, I think it was. So huge amount of difference there, right? So that is got to be your thing. It's like you can go there, but then also Xiaomi makes like no profit margin off of their phones, whereas Samsung does. And the reason why Amazon can get away with that is because they have probably the most subscription service out there. Just out of curiosity, I am very curious about that. How many Amazon Prime members 2021? Okay, so Amazon Prime members, there is 153 million of them. Say, I don't know what the current, let's see, Amazon, wait, 153 million, right? Times Amazon Prime member cost. Um, 120 per year. Let's go 100 just because a lot of those are discounted with students. So just to get a round number, that's 153 times 100. So that would mean, of course, they make what, 15.3 billion every year in subscriptions. So that's the reason why Amazon can go such low cost, because all they care about is your subscriptions. And that's for regular Amazon Prime. That's not Audible. That's not, Amazon Kid membership. That's not all of the other things that are separate from the regular Prime. So yeah, just a quick calculation, of course, but they're basically making at least 15 billion a year off subscriptions. That's why Amazon can afford to go very low price, because once you get their device, they're getting you on the subscriptions. All right. Xiaomi doesn't have that, by the way. That's the difference. I bought a Dell XPS i7 1 terabyte 500 SSD with NVIDIA for under 1,100. Ended up getting the cash back from Dell. Got a sweet Alienware headphones and cash back from Rakuten. Cool. That's awesome, man. I mean, yeah. Look, for 1,100, that's a really good, for i7 1 terabyte and NVIDIA graphics built in. That's a great price point for sure. That was a gaming one, I'm assuming, and it was at a desktop. Was that the outlet one or the clearance, or what was that? Let me know, Warren. That's really cool, though, in terms of pricing. I'm glad you got it too, man. Ricky, as usual, great work, man. Thank you very much. I'm about to buy a computer. I'm between the Dell G5 1555 with RTX 3060. And the Inspiron 1770. I mean, if you would ask me, there's one clear winner there. The Dell G5, I actually do like. I actually had that for my last work computer before I changed companies again. So I actually really like that laptop. That was really cool. I didn't have the 3060 in it. I had the older one, which had the 2060. So that, though, for RTX 3060, I mean, for me, that's the no-brainer, because you're talking about the other one has an MX 350 and a 1660 Ti. They aren't even in the same league as the G5, in my opinion. So for me, between those three, Luca, I would easily recommend the Dell G5. I think it's a much better choice between those three. Dell I do like, so the Inspiron I like as well. Razer Blade, unfortunately, I just have not had the best relationship with Razers in terms of their laptops. I don't know what happens. It doesn't work for my experience. Again, I know millions of people buy Razer and use them and love them, but not for me. Hey Ricky, hope all is well. Homie Dicky Dog. I heard you can only use Type C to Type C to charge the S21 Ultra. No. I am going to plug in. Oh no, wait, that is a. Oh wait, hold on. There you go. Nope. Type A to Type C right now. This one plugs into my wireless charger, and it's working just fine with this one. So no, you can work USB Type A to Type C to charge it. However, is it going to be a fast charger? That depends more on the power brick itself. So for instance, this is a Samsung 45 watt power brick. It's the biggest one that Samsung has for their smartphones. And this is the biggest one in terms of high speed that will charge your phones for the next few years. As we know, the S21 Ultra only goes up to 25 watt charging. I think it was the Note or the S20 that did go up to 45 watt, but we didn't see a difference. So then Samsung just went back to 25 watt. So yeah, it all depends. Let's see. What are your thoughts on the Samsung A series? Well, I did review the Samsung A52 this year. Did, the tips and tricks video and how to save battery life and improve the camera and everything. So I did like my time with it. I'm very curious to see what we'll see coming out of the A series as it continues to evolve. That also might be another thing that we might be getting at this announcement. We haven't got a refresh for the A series for a little while. Normally that does come in February around MWC, but who knows if Samsung will move that up. They have moved it up before to CES before. So the A series is a little fluid with its updates, so it's definitely a possibility too, especially with Samsung hinting at Wednesday's event being all about colors. What Pixel are you going with? Google is sending me a Pixel. So full disclosure on that, they do send us, certain reviewers of Pixels. So they are sending me one. I don't know which one it is. I have no say in it. I'm hoping it's a Pro. My favorite color I would go with, if I would go with one of these phones, it would be a Google Pixel Pro, 6 Pro, white. I love the white design. I think it's really great looking. That Dell has a 2060 card, I think, 1100 to pay Fortnite for my kid with. Yeah, definitely a really good one for sure. Let's see. Ricky, as a developer, how much do you think it was to develop Google Maps in terms of costs? And do you think Google would charge for maps in the future? No, I don't think Google would ever charge for maps. That would seem silly. Not to mention that, I mean, it's hard to say that Google has competition, of course, because they really don't have competition in maps. I mean, Apple is the closest. Waze was the closest, but that used Google Maps anyway, and then Google bought them. Then, you have Bing Maps, and you have Apple Maps, which are and Here Maps are the other ones. So they're literally, C tier, whereas Google's A tier, even S tier. So I don't see Google ever charging for that. Yeah, I just don't. I could totally see them charging for permanent celebrity voices, maybe. That would be something that I would actually pay for, right? So, we get these short-term celebrity voices on Waze. I would be so open to paying for a permanent celebrity voice from now on, like, $5, $10 for a pack maybe. But like I would shoot, $5 for The Rock to tell me all my navigation for the rest of my life if I want, something like that. Like I would totally pay for that for Google Voice. That would be cool. Speaking of Newegg, cough, cough, Newegg Tech Guide Tuesdays. Yes, if you have missed it, Tuesdays, if you download the Newegg app, I am now working for them on some social media stuff. Might finally get on their YouTube. We'll see how that goes, but maybe next weekend. But basically, with Newegg, the first installment was that I would be hosting their live shows every Tuesday. So if you do want to support the channel, and plus check out some good deals, Newegg Live is basically a show where they give extremely, usually from their regular price point, discounts that are not at any other point except for that 1 hour. So you have 1 hour to get these deals. I think they sold an insane amount of there was a battery pack this week. It was $11. $11 battery pack. Everyone was buying it. I think they end up selling out before the hour was done. But they were telling me like, oh no, we still have stock like for now, but yeah, tell them that it's running out, and it was. So that is one thing, like that they're extremely low discounts. Not all of them are that low. Like one day, I think the cheapest item was $100. So it depends. But I think every week I've done it so far, there has been at least one product that was 50% off. So whether it be a sound bar, like we had a killer sound bar from Yamaha this past week that I think was like $150, something like that. Like it just every week there's a new killer sale. So if you want to check it out, Tuesday, 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, you can only for right now watch it on the Newegg app. They're trying to see if they can get it on the Newegg website and everything like that. But this is like their internal sales thing they want to do. So go ahead and support the channel. I really do appreciate it. If you guys can, just stop by, give a like. If you can't watch the whole video, check out the deals for 5 minutes if you want to just see what deals there are. This week, we literally had an air fry cooker. So I put some wings and some pizza in there and used the air fry cooker. And it was really cool. So yeah, all that kind of stuff. It's pretty much laid back and fun, as I am when it comes to live shows. So if you want to go ahead and check it out. Tuesday, 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. It's a desktop XPS Special Edition. That's the name, with gaming 2060 card. Hey man, that's an awesome price for that. To get a 2060 at that price point, that's really good, Warren. Ricky, if Facebook was ever on sale, which companies would buy them? Who would buy them with their reputation is not well trusted? So here's the thing about Facebook. I'm not saying it's Teflon, but it really, like, say for instance, just for instance, right? If Google was involved in some big scandal tomorrow, would people stop using Google? Would 90% of the world really for searching suddenly switch to something else? Like DuckDuckGo? Did you even know that was another search engine besides Google? Like, because I'm telling you right now, the people that are under 15 don't even know there's another search engine possible. They don't know DuckDuckGo. They don't know Bing. They don't know those kind of things. So Google is the search engine in all concerning, right? Facebook is not that big, where it's the defining social media, but it is the biggest. It is especially the biggest in the US, and it is definitely one of the most visited sites for not only Facebook, but for Instagram and for WhatsApp. WhatsApp is the most used international messenger service on the planet. So that's pretty big. So these are all big things, right? Yeah, so that's going to be all big things for it. So That being said, would I see a company buying them? Yes. Do they make money? Then companies will buy them. I mean, you think about like, oh, well, what company would want to buy Facebook if for their bad reputation? An oil company. Like, what do they care, right? Like, what do they care if they have a bad reputation? They make money, buy them. Like, it's just, so that's what it all comes down to business. It all comes down to business. PR is a serious thing that companies have to address. Is it though? Do they still make money? It was a really great line in a show that I love called House MD, and they were trying to a big pharmaceutical company, or sorry, a big insurance company was going against the hospital, and the dean of medicine there, Cuddy, who was the head of the hospital, was like, you're gonna, if you don't agree to these terms, you are going to, went to the CEO and said, like, if you don't agree to these terms, you're going to get talked about all over the media about, this and this and this, right? The guy didn't want to have that done to him, of course, but he did say, like, smear me all you want, as long as I'm still going to be a millionaire tomorrow. Like, that was so true, unfortunately, in terms of CEOs in the world and in the US. Like, as long as I'm rich, you can smear me, you can say everything you want about me, as long as I'm still rich tomorrow, right? So that's the whole thing, kind of, in my thoughts on that. All right. Long-winded answer, sorry about that, but just when you said, like, oh, well, companies don't trust them, but anyone actually buy it, like, yeah, as long as they make money, companies will buy them. Then green light and red light blinking lights, back of Ricky when I turn around. Check out 51st Date Questions. Love the Squid Game reference. 51st Date Questions is an app that I created. If you want to go ahead and check it out, links are in the description down below for both Android and iOS. It's a fun game to play on a first date when you're trying to do an icebreaker and trying to get to know each other. Really great fun time. Also, if you want to, you can definitely go ahead and have it for just a regular date night. Sometime with your significant other, you want to see what's going on in their head lately, see how they've changed over the years. You don't know unless you ask. And how do you ask? By downloading 51st Date Questions. Links in the description down below for Android and for iOS. All right. Let's see. Oh, having Deadpool telling you the nearest food place is located. Yes. I was like, yeah, you can go over there and get Carl's Jr.'s, but I want some chimichangas. That's so Deadpool. So yeah. Oh my goodness. I got to go ahead and check out that one. RICKY, the air fryer guy. Yeah, definitely did do that. Ricky, if The Verge ever offered you a role, would you accept it? I can see you on The Verge, Ricky. Hell no. I hate The Verge, personally. I don't hate The Verge in terms of all their reviewers. There's a girl there who does amazing quality in terms of headphones. But their main two guys, I don't even bother to remember their names, but one I think is in charge of the actual either company or the division of all reviews, whose like brother works at Apple, and he, just has never done a regular review that does not mention Apple in any sense of the word. And there's their main guy, I forget his name, blonde hair, glasses, and he's the exact same way. Can never do a review without mentioning Apple in it. So would I ever accept a role if The Verge offered one to me? No, I wouldn't. And just to give you an idea, I don't know if this would surprise you guys at all. Again, I've been district manager. I've been manager of different store manager. I've been in different roles throughout my career. I have twice been offered to work for Apple, and I turned them down. So yeah, I have been offered different roles because of not necessarily my knowledge or presentation in terms of it, but more so because of my job experience. in other areas. So yeah, so that's I have been offered and I have denied it. Now, one time I will say, Apple offered the role and they offered less money than my current role. So that was pretty easy to, say no to. And of course, their answer, not even lying about this, and they gave the same answer to other people for a district manager level, which I was still store manager at that point. But well, yeah, it's less money, but you're working for Apple. That's what their answers have been. So yeah, again, to each of their own, but it's what I like to, how I like to be. Yeah. Let's see. I'm considering the Samsung Galaxy Fold 3, but I use my Note 20 Ultra 5G. How has the battery in your usage time? Is it worth getting, or maybe wait for a new Note next year? The battery time is going to be less than your Note 20 Ultra. Your Note 20 Ultra has a better battery life than the Fold 3. I know because I had that one, and I think on the Note 20 Ultra, I got about 7 hours to 8 hours of screen on time. I want to say 8 hours actually. On the Fold 3, I struggled to get 5 of screen on time. Now that was heavy usage for both devices, as heavy as it gets. I do split screen. I do a lot to make sure that I test it out for heavy users, so worst case scenario. And yeah, it's nowhere near the screen on time of even the Fold 2. The Fold 2 had a better battery life than the Fold 3. I've been waiting for an update to fix it, but there's been no update that has fixed the battery life as of yet, unfortunately. 2 updates in, the battery life is still not good for the Fold 3. If battery life is your main concern, that is probably the worst feature of the Fold 3. In all of its benefits, the battery life is probably its worst feature. Does Google sell products in their physical stores? Because the New York City store right across from Apple, the difference is night and day in terms of foot traffic. Crazy line in Apple Store, Google, probably not so much. Well, Google, again, that's their first physical store they've really had to the public. They've had pop-up shops before, but this is their first physical permanent store they have. As far as I know, they do sell products there. I have never been to the NYC store though, so I do not know. But that is their first physical store. My guess is if they do have a second one, it probably will be in either San Francisco or in Los Angeles, where I do live. So I would love to visit one. For instance, Samsung has a couple of stores. I think they have a total of 4 or 5 in the US, and I have been to the one in Los Angeles, and they do have lots of demos there. They sell all of their primary consumer electronics, meaning not appliances. But they have everything from TVs there to smartphones to tablets to every accessory for those products too. So they have a lot of those things there. So yeah, it just depends. But in terms of lines, I don't think you'll ever get lines like Apple at those stores, except for launch day. Samsung does have a line that goes all the way out and everything like that too, for launch days when they launch their phones at their locations. However, Apple, I believe, has thousands of stores in the US. Samsung, again, has 4 or 5. So a lot different in terms of having a line out of a store, in terms of sheer volume. Do you wirelessly connect the Samsung Note to a portable monitor in DeX mode? I haven't, but you can. You can connect your tablet to a portable monitor. The portable monitor would have to have its own power source though. What I usually plugged it into was an external battery pack. That way it wouldn't have to plug into the wall. But that's what I used to do with my external monitors. I would just plug it into a battery pack and then have that charge my monitor, and then my tablet and monitor won't have they'll have their own charge essentially. But I've never had an external monitor with a battery, and that is one thing that I would like to have for sure. Just download the Newegg app. Didn't even know they had an app. Well, I'm glad you told me that, and I will let them know. Like, hey, I have people downloading the app out here, so I'll definitely let them know that. Any positive feedback that I can get to give to them, guys, I would much appreciate it because I'm trying. It's a new frontier for me, so I'm trying to help out as much as I can for sure. Hi, Ricky. Such a thing as good as an all-in-one speaker for sound nerds. I'm really not into buying separate components. I want to go with a Sonos or Alexa inside. Sonos is probably the best all-in-one, I would maybe say. I have heard like a really high end, like $1,000 plus soundbar from TCL that was really good too. At CES, it was just like it did sound like the sound was coming from every which direction, but it was only one huge soundbar that had Dolby Atmos. But that's really what you're kind of looking for. You're looking for a soundbar that has Dolby Atmos, or an equivalent feat or an equivalent technology. Sonos is really good at it. So I would definitely recommend a Sonos, or again a soundbar with really with Dolby Atmos for sure. In terms of it though, I have had several soundbars. I have a surround sound system now, and I absolutely love it. I probably wouldn't go back to regular soundbar after having a surround sound system, but I was lucky enough to get gifted one, to be fair, to review it. So I had soundbars from Samsung, from Creative, and from Harman Kardon that I loved the quality of all of them. I thought they were all great. So there's definitely great quality out there for sure. My brother recommended one at All Tech Speakers. It's one 3 years ago, different from their current. Yeah, again, I mean, there are great ones in the past. I would personally, if I'm just getting a soundbar, I would make sure that the basic idea behind Dolby Atmos on a soundbar is that you have speakers facing you directly and speakers that have upshot and they go back down behind you, basically. So it curves with the room. It uses the room to curve it, so you basically hear it from all different angles. That's what Dolby Atmos really is, or an equivalent technology to that. And that's what I would recommend for the best kind of sound bar that you could find. Oh, those are actually black and yes. Actually, yes, it's very light green. Although on my screen, I can see the camera shows it a lot like Christmas lights. Christmas is coming. That's what that means behind me. No, I just my printer has an error on it, and I haven't cleared it yet. So yeah, for sure. But yes, we're playing red light, green light. Who moved? Let's see. Do you a video on what's the best app for a smart TV? Thank you and great show. The problem with smart TVs is most of the best apps are going to be whatever streaming services you have. So for me, just to give you an example, what are the apps on my smart TV? Well, I have YouTube, I have Netflix, I have Disney Plus, I have HBO Max, I have Peacock, I have Paramount Plus, Discovery Plus, Hulu, Vudu for some movies that I've bought in the past, and Plex for my can't see it right now, but my NAS system for all of my backed up movies that I've had in the past. So yeah, so those are all the apps that I would have. But yeah, that's. I really would say for smart TVs, it's mostly going to be the streaming services that you are with, and where you buy movies. So like for me, I would either have Google TV or the Play Movies for all my purchases, or Vudu if I don't have Google TV on the system, like a Fire TV. So yeah. Um, that logic doesn't make sense. I think having fewer stores with more popular products would have longer lines at the fewer stores. I'm just really worried about hype people getting put behind the Pixel devices and not seeing it reflect everyday consumers. Well, one store in New York isn't going to make the biggest difference. Let's just say that. Obviously, those Pixel phones, the Pixel 6 series hasn't launched yet. So it is a very big possibility that that store will have a long line. And I wasn't specifying that fewer stores wouldn't have longer lines, but you have to realize that Samsung and Google are not as popular as Apple in the US, period. They're just not. The reason that Apple has such a stronghold in the US, you can debate all day, but in terms of, are they easily the biggest in the US? By far, yes. Are they the biggest in the world? No, not at all. iPhones don't sell anything compared to Samsung worldwide, but that's the difference, right? So it's just, again, it's always which country has a bigger hold on which products. So that's to be the difference. There's always going to be longer lines at the Apple Store because they're more popular. Even if Google only has one store, should there still be lines? Yes. But since that Google Store is open, they have not had a product launch. So we'll see what happens with that. I don't expect them to have huge lines, but just to give you an idea, OnePlus had pop-up stores with last few of their launches, and those had lines going out the door. They had lines going out. So they do happen, and every brand has diehard fans, but it won't have longer lines, no, because it's not as popular, plain and simple. But yeah, they have not had a product launch yet, so we'll have to see how that goes. Again, the Pixel 6 and 6 Pro have not launched. Their announcement is Tuesday, 2 days from now. Did you see any pricing leaks for the Pixel 6 and Pixel 6 Pro? Yes, we covered it at the beginning of the show. If you want to get more details, go ahead and check it out. But yeah, Target leaked it, $599, $899. Really good pricing, really good for these devices. I added the new Egg app. Cannot wait till Tuesday. Well, thank you guys. Really appreciate it. I really, really appreciate it, guys. I'm going to check out Newegg. Thank you, guys. Again, I appreciate that, definitely. What do you think about WhatsApp? Thank you. I think it's one of the most popular apps in the world, and I've had to get it at times for work. I really don't have any interest in it. Most of my communication is via text message or Google Chat, which was Google Hangouts before. But that's most of my communication. I don't really need anything else besides that. So yeah, that's it. I don't know anyone on WhatsApp that only uses WhatsApp. I'm sure if I had more international contacts, I would, but I don't do that. So yeah. Google announcing right after MacBook Pro. Ouch. Well, yeah, actually, Apple moved in on them. So did Samsung. So what happened was a couple weeks ago, Google said I think literally October 1st. Google was like, we're doing our announcement October 19th. And then last week, Apple and Samsung said, we have an announcement on the 18th, is what Apple said. Samsung was like, we have an announcement on the 20th. And so Google's like, what the y'all did your announcements already. But in all fairness, Apple always has an October or November announcement. Would it have been this time? No, probably not. They strategically trying to make it so Google gets less coverage because of the fact this is huge for Google. It's the first phone that will probably have, not exaggerating in this in the slightest, it will probably have the best camera in the industry for all smartphones going forward. It'll be the standard on which all smartphones will most likely be based on in terms of camera quality. Then, you are going to have them have their first processor. You know, no one has done, besides Apple, a phone where they build the operating system and the processor, except for Apple last year. Now Google's going to do it. Well, again, Apple doesn't want you to think about that there is another competitor that's doing the same thing. So they want to, hey, refocus over here. Look it over here. That's what Apple's good at. Look it over here. So yeah, that's all, again, all this was strategic marketing in its finest by both Apple and Samsung. Now, Samsung is very interesting because I've said this from the beginning, but again, I still don't think it's publicly known. Samsung is making these phones. Samsung is making the processor and the phones for Google. Not every part of the phone, mind you, but most of the phone, the chassis, all of that is going to be made by Samsung. So, that being said, that is very important to note because Samsung's division of parts wants this Google phone to succeed. At the same time, though, over here on Samsung mobile side, no, they don't want this phone to succeed because they rather make the phones that sell the most. So that's the thing. And again, that's the whole thing. That's the whole irony of Samsung, because they are the top manufacturer in the smartphone industry. They make money off of every iPhone sold. They make money off of every MacBook sold. They make money off of every iPad sold. So they don't want Apple to be number one, but they do want them to still keep selling in a sense. It's just different divisions of the company that makes money. So yeah. Is there any way to get a notification when you are on Newegg, or just set the reminder on the phone? Newegg does notify you for every, I believe so at least. I believe they do notify you for every time they go live. I am only personally on Tuesdays. If you want to check out the other ones, go ahead. But yeah, I would say some are in different countries, so it might not resonate with everyone. But yeah, so that's just one thing you should know. For me, I'm there every Tuesday. So if you want to see with me, I'll be there on Tuesdays, 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And I know we are going to have two other hosts that are from Newegg headquarters in LA. But I think they're switching. I think they were originally going to do Thursdays, but now they're going to do Fridays. But that'll be another host, which they have great hosts besides me, of course. But the other ones are in different countries, so again, just might not translate as well. So yeah. I just want more people in the U.S. where Google is based to know the Pixel exists, and they really need to make it available in India. Yeah, I mean, I will say that for sure. I think that Google is upping the marketing. That's what we've been hearing, that they are going to up the marketing like crazy with this phone, because it's what you need to do. Before you can get to the level of Apple and Samsung, what the fallen smartphone manufacturers of LG and HTC never were able to do, they never spent the marketing money that Apple and Samsung did. Look, Apple is only Apple because of their marketing. Their products are not the best. Their operating system is not the best. All of this stuff has never been the top among the best of the best for everything. But where they have excelled more than anyone by far has been their marketing. Samsung, with the S3, killed it with their marketing. They spent millions of dollars. And we're talking not 1 million, 2 million like HTC. HTC and LG were spending about 1 to 5 million on marketing. No, with the S3 in the early days of Android, Samsung spent 20 million in the marketing. And they were spending money because they were banking on that would get everyone's attention. And it worked. It worked very well. And that's why Samsung became the only competition that really stood the test of time against Apple. So yeah, that's really what it came down to. And I hope Google understands this. It's one thing I will still say that OnePlus does not understand. They don't like to spend money on marketing, and I think that's why they have had a strong presence in the geek and tech culture, but have not expanded at all any other way. But yeah, all right, guys, I think we will wrap up tonight. Thank you guys so much for tuning in this week. And again, if you do want to check out me on Newegg Live, download the Newegg app, 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and we will have lots of follow-ups on everything announced this week. Thank you guys always so much for watching. This has been RICKY, the YouTube Tech Guy.
Thank you so much again for watching. Make sure to subscribe, like, and comment down below. Also, follow us on social